So, one topic I think has been of greatest misunderstanding is about whether it is okay to ever experience anger. So, I would love to hear the point of view around what is the relationship we can have with an emotion of anger that could be constructive and when is it destructive?
just to achieve the kind of the control CFD and the can doing takpar do chuchi sigionas yamena the samsala painting yunana kandaki natsu da natsu ki control the jewa kandis chetu pire the kaduna to cover and samsam de la pechu chempo yang chetu pire kandis Tiwan Tavare. Vengo che c'è l'ora, che consiglio che c'è.
Nel lavoro ci.
Ma lei già una seconda sera. Tant'è contro sette. Ma su due caso contro sette ya. Yemi ma do 非常计较嘛的是。contro la fatti ne che c'è pure es. Ci sono contro di invece ci io ma es. Ma che caso ya? 写动了就是呢，继续有的是，我是有毛了，就是人多少就写动了就跟了就了，呀，这告诉个人啊，告诉我自己查不回来，是用的来塞就，查不回来，查来，查过个老夫，我查不回来来，我查不回来了呀，写动塞的就难得钱的，告诉我的。他都有个气有的是，但都有告诉的他记得，你马多，有的这些有的是。So in terms of how we understand anger is that in terms of the sutra teachings, then we see anger as something that is exclusively negative. It is something exclusively harmful, and it doesn't have any kind of beneficial qualities or anything like that. It only in the context of tantra, then when we start talking about taking anger into the path. And so in general, we talk about taking the afflictions into the path. It can be attachment, anger, or ignorance into the path. And so in that context, when we think about anger, then it can be the catalyst for wrathful activities. And that comes part of this practice of using anger or taking it into the path. So from a tantric point of view, there are this kind of understanding, but from a sutra point of view, then it's never seen as beneficial.
And in the Western scientific definition of emotion, it's less like a mental formation and more something that's very brief. So our emotions, they rise and fall in 30 to 90 seconds. So it's not the ongoing habit, it's these moments of anger. There's currently no research on how many emotions we have a day, but the belief is we have at least 6,000 thoughts per day. And so much of our thoughts are infused with self-cherishing. So of course, there will be many emotions in every thought. And so the approach also is how do we work with not only these habits of mind, but these momentary experiences of emotion. And this is at the kind of the body physiological level, as well as the way it shifts and narrows the mind. So for example, when we feel anger, there's actually blood rushing to our arms, right? And a different autonomic nervous system arousal than when we feel fear or sadness. A lot of specificity in these emotions.
And it's a subject challenge. And control say the chitan samki gomchi sigiomare chitang chena control kedu the karma sonchu ne kuchu ki baldu ki dere mato chendo de mare dile mawa chitan de giomare the gopo and it's an gopo in the songs on the samki gomchi sigiomare the indicano di mood se ci trovi conci tramore delle toppe di pe chuchun yon dan ga ne de ki conci si yon rem ane hapo de nima jeshe ba nato ki samo toncha tsam yores detso ki nangne mangin chewa de ram chezin dan jewa yorwa and it's a day wangi natula dendeki control sopa dendeki pe gopoki nyomo pe chukchempachene pe yopo levhi and they kenchene and yang zoki zupo danga zoki semla jaminja chegiore pena zoki sem pe pusu topo sogiore and zoki zufo yang pe kan pusu topo so da zoki chak de lakpa la drogiore and chetsang nyumo jeje la bende ki shele Conversate don't want much because you get angry when punch someone.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
That's right.
And so just, it's a different definition. And this was something His Holiness was so interested in, as not only the kind of craving and attachment and anger that are these habits of mind, but these momentary experiences. And I have a sense that there's a lot of Buddhist practice and understanding that can really work with these in a meaningful way, these moments of emotion. So I'd be curious your thoughts on that.
Nuchoki tseji ta nauchoki tseni deso jagi yosara sana konsoki chena mangche wadi gyopo yongyo da kaya wangi sigi yore and chetsan dende ki yowan ni japochik sona and chetan watso de gyocha kontroltimo sum de senki gongchi zina sigi yore and di chikche and natsuki hafadu de la dende ki gongchi ma yimbala dende pe nyumo pishu chempu dan rinko ma dea ki nyumo de sola kanjis nyempu tangu yome di kanjis chikodes chiwadir
Dira ngaranzo kondo yorwa. Kondo laya mambu chile ya junzens ke yomare. Junzens ke yomare chumea kondo laya de yorwa. Nega kemea kondo laya de. Tsang oi dewe ime sina kondo laya yorwa. Tena shige isosugi tulo kembe kable ya. Tulo de yabo mandana lungla yorwa. 다음에 시 누구디 누구 집에 가면 누구디 야구는 무슨 타는 거야. 지수 지수 상로 야구시 당바이나 오늘 저희는 농랑 가요 말로 농마가 마가네 제도로 누구 야구만 좋아하지 누구로 kontrol해야 되기 괜찮아 누구를 가지는 kontrol하는 거라. 그 상로 야구시 당 도와이나 알아서 랑대 컨트롤 망부치 오늘 저기 수수 삽사 치게는 거를 너무 화샤다 그랬어. 근데 준비니 칼리야 아니 콘로 파티 지 말아와들은 가서 올다 야야 주실 봐야. 근데 독신다 콘로 중도야. 제가서 니마 레레야 또 상무시 당바이나 다 콘로 첨부시라 말이 주시들의 간시 무슨 근거만 선딩의 콘로 한마디만 강시라 남주시라 말이 마시는 콘로 하는데 근데 막 부시고 좀 거라. 그래서 그 망치의 초명이 싫어를 했어. 그래서 사실 삼로간 사실은 그래서 강도로 고트해지를 했어. 그렇게 말했어. 그 링크에 거의 매주 약제 방처럼.
So in my opinion, it's actually, when we talk about anger, it's more the way to start is really with these small episodes of anger. In the sense that when we really think about times when we get angry, there's a lot of times when we seem to get angry without any reason whatsoever, or for very small, insignificant reason. Like we get angry over nothing, right? Sometimes someone just comes along and says, "Hi, how are you?" and we can get angry. Or we put on our clothes and they don't fit properly and we get angry. Or the pen is not working, we get angry with the pen. So there's all these kind of micro incidents of anger. And if we really think about it, most of these are completely unnecessary, right? They, if we really think, if the pen is not working and we get angry at the pen, like what would be the benefit? What would be the purpose of getting angry at the pen? So by thinking along those lines and habituating the mind to think like that, then we can come to clearly see that most of these incidents of anger are unnecessary. And by continually thinking like that, and slowly, gradually, we're able to kind of wean ourselves off of this habit of getting angry at these small things. But this is just something that has to be done on a daily basis as a daily practice. Like looking at these small incidents, which most of the time we don't even notice that we're getting angry at these small things. But if we're able to recognize them and think about them, then it's something that will naturally improve. And it's something that, since we start with the small things, it's not that difficult. It's not like starting with these big incidents of anger.
Yeah, that sounds very wise and so hard to do.
Yeah, we have this strong habit,
Strong habit.
We want to think this is the big deal and big problem.
Yeah.
Just we get angry and like that we go.
Yeah.
And then became unhappy and unhappy, small unhappy. And then after a while it happened, how to say, like a month and many days, something like that. Then people or some person get like thinking, oh, why I'm suffering, I'm not so happy, Then they think I want to go to one Buddhist center to do meditations. Always I used to ask, what kind of meditation do you want to do? What kind of meditation? If you do very attention during these things, this kind of small angry will want to come. Then you will be mostly time you will be calm. People are not much interested for these things. They want to meditate on bodhicitta, emptiness, and great compassion, but actually they get angry very easily because they're not taking much serious about these small things.
Yeah.
They think these are not so important. I wanted to meditate on bodhicitta, emptiness. Then this not changing, always within you, they come always.
Yeah.
Then
And does it get stronger?
Yeah, it gets stronger also. When go every day, something like that, then our mind become more nervous, more close. Then get angry very strongly. Start to get very strong.
This is also the problem with stress.
Yeah.
Stress is actually just an over-arousal of emotion. So in the sense of our physiology and psychology, it's not like there's stress here and emotion here. There's an emotion we don't feel we can manage, stress. And the whole system, as you said, gets kind of tense, contracted, nervous, high-low energy. And when people are stressed, so much more likely to become frustrated. So much less likely to remember bodhicitta. So it's people want to talk about stress, but they don't often want to talk about emotion. That's interesting. Yeah.
And they want to do big things, but small things they don't care. Then this one will come always and disturbing your life and disturbing your time. This is the one of the, how to say, like people have to take serious.
Yeah, I agree.
Stress
Reda Nasa Navi Shone and Lambda Sejo, Yana said,
Ranjinzin le teni yungu yorse junju namo zho yores. So ranjinzin se ngara pe za chenpo yin, nga ke chenpo yin, se ranjinzin kasi shu chiyo na mede tokwa ma yore, namdang ma yore, shena ma yores. Ranjinzin kasi shu chiyo na dili ya di yores ta, namdo nyunga yore, ene shena nyunga yores. Ata so de ranjinzin tegi zamachine jingmo yores.
So in the Buddhist text, you especially see stress and worry and these types of minds connected to the self-cherishing attitude. That, by thinking oneself is so important, so precious, then it leads to all these other emotions that come in, such as all sorts of doubts and fears and stress and worry. So if one is really able to address the root of that, which is the self-cherishing attitude, then one will naturally have less of these over-conceptualization mind and fears and worries and things like that. So this is really something that is emphasized in terms of reducing that self-cherishing mind.
Hondo se dia ranjinzin le teni jingmo yores. Nga ke chenpo yin, nga za chenpo yin se gale, ene so la me shenda de des chi des ke jab chi shena des ma li wala des nam jo te nam na lapsa hondo sai yores ti ka se ma la nga ti pe kaso ranjinzin ti kasi che na ti le lo hondo che yores.
But also to do with anger, that also anger finds its root in the self-cherishing attitude, right? Because again, self-cherishing is thinking, I am so important and I'm all that. So then, even tiny things that other people do to you are suddenly blown all out of proportion. So someone just does the littlest thing, or someone even shows you a bad facial expression, and immediately you think, oh, you get angry, and it's because they're doing it to me.
For me. For me like that. For me doing like that.
It's funny, but it's so bad. It's so common, yeah. And anger and fear, they have different qualities. And I feel like the anger makes someone feel powerful. Yeah. And the fear, though, the anger, it's like often expressed, and then you forget about it, you move on. But with the fear, it's like that cycle of samsara, like it's always more and more fear. It's in the back of the mind ruminating. So it has this very different quality. It's almost like it needs a different antidote than anger. Because I do think that the idea of working with anger by like cutting through the self-cherishing, right? Or, seeing everybody having that same want and need, you actually have to have quite a lot of a perspective, the equanimity view to recognize. But with fear, we feel so small. It's like, it's not even that they're self-cherishing, it's the other side of self-cherishing. It's feeling I'm never enough, I'm not okay. So I don't know, it's an interesting, different aspect of a difficult emotion.
Control down, Shenang needed so but this local guys and control nandu pe tok chenpo ki tonang le jiro ya so pe tok chenpo da pe shu chenpo da chi res sangre and the chetan chene na so the long long chi che da la pe shu the one control on the che control che 근데 SAS right they just they 사 do right Shenandela, Mutune Dekenchi, Res, Gansana, and the Chero Kalkana Chero Jodiva, and a chetam dent in Nampa Minjama ni, your person de la Peche Niempo Minjama ni, Gogi and Saves. Gansana, control the Ranchenzin Lekia with the Selpore, Gansana, Matsu Kerang Sumpanashi, the Semchin Tanche, they will do for down, doing to Pachipare, down Kia, the Sopa Dendro, ki Niempo Tayante, Yi Impare. And the control carriage, they do, the doctor, and so the Nape kitchen program, correct, in Shenam Kedu, they let doctor, and so pay Chung Chung Nashi, it's one of the Medgiro, Nape Chung Chung, top 총총 가르쳐 두비메스
그래 라 콘돌라야 마부지 샤나지리용 콘돌라 거다 가서 콘돌라나 소소 송접치야 치도 콘돌라 거라 디 차디 셰를 지워라 테레스 네이다 콘돌다 샤나니다 베로아레
that's number one.
나오면라 레데네 콘 셰유도 삼반에 가르치네 콘돌라야 유치하고 그래서 콘돌라나 이 비기 숨투리스나
But at the same time, we do see a very strong relationship between these two because generally anger arises because of fear. You get angry and one feels powerful, as you said, but then with that power, it's power in order to protect oneself. And because one is wishing to protect oneself, there has to be something that one is afraid of and feels that you need to protect yourself from. So you're right that they have a very different aspect and very different way that they perceive things, but they're very much related in the sense that there has to be some kind of fear there that one wants to protect from, and then one utilizes anger to protect, to have this aspect of protecting oneself from that fear.
그래 다 콘트로스나 콘트로스에 바로 보라 파 지고 너같이 지고서 너섬시에 콘트로스로 시행아 마술을 치네 서로 나야 너반도지 지배는 들에 수업마도 제다나 팔렌지 로 콜지 너같이 지고 녀밀로로 지레서 내게 콜바지 제워서 밀로지레서 다다 신앙세죠 봐 신앙세에 되게 딱그 팔렌로에 기계제 요만해 그나라 솔직히 뭐가지 지레서네 그러봐 이게 심지를 오시고다 그 말아야 뭐가지 지레지 재미없지 지레서 이게 할 수가 있다 독송스나면도 되게 심지에서나면도 들으셔라 공부세에 딱 그러는 거라 두서 뭐가지 지소 that dealing with her language
So they're also very different because when we have anger, so the aspect is very different because with anger, there's also thinking about in terms of a harmful intent. That when we feel anger, it's because we feel someone has done something to us, and then we have this instinct we want to respond, right? You have to do something to respond to what they did to us. So there's this wish to respond in kind. Whereas with fear, it's not really about responding to what someone is doing for us. It's more about that worry or that concern that someone might do something for us. That they are doing, but it's more of a concern or a worry over something that people are doing or might do for us. So in that way, also they seem to have this different aspect to them.
맞아 컨트롤하나 빼내버 침몰했어. 컨트롤세 빼내버 침몰해 비버 침몰해 컨트롤 계속 좀 먹어요래 디시고요래 현나세디 되게 말해 현나디 이 참아요다 그래 현나세디 페이지 루마딘으로 지래 그래 현나디는 딱 저한테 현나세디 루마딘으로 지래 컨트롤 따지는 게 그러죠 근데 컨트롤세 빼내버 침몰해 현나세디 그래서 본다나 얘기 뭐가 전부까지 계속 좀 뭐가 소보다 되게 말이야.
So then likewise with anger, it's seen as something very harmful, right? The mind of anger is something very harmful, very non-virtuous, and it's said to even destroy our virtues, right? Whereas fear is not like that at all, really. It's something that everyone kind of has at some point or another, and so everyone has it, and it's also seen as more of a neutral type of emotion as opposed to anger, which is seen as very negative type of emotion. So in that way, it's not really the same in these such ways as anger, that it's not so destructive as anger is.
I disagree. I think, I think, the definition, so my dad is a psychologist and friends of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, studying emotions for many years. And one of the things His Holiness and my dad talked about was the possibility that any emotion could be constructive or destructive. And I think with anger, in the Buddhist context, sometimes it's described as this mirror-like wisdom, right? Just this very clear, like, when you're angry, you're very focused, and often you see that there's something, sometimes you're, delusion, but sometimes our anger helps us see injustice, something that's not right. And I think if we can use that clear seeing and respond in a way that's constructive, there's a lot of benefit. What I see as a teacher and someone who works with emotion is fear is far more harmful to people. It's harmful to the body because we can have a fear state in the background of our mind all day long. I feel anxious, I feel upset, and this actually erodes at the physiological level, even at the level of our DNA. It frays what's called these telomeres, that which protects and prevents accelerated aging. And when people are in these accelerated fear states because of the stress of their job and the stress of their family, it actually has more harm on the body than almost any other emotion. So it's a really interesting one to think about. And with fear, I think there's such a desire to control, to have certainty. And so my understanding is to help people really see impermanence, actually, might be a positive way to work with fear. But I'd be curious your thoughts on that.
Quindi, come parla di Gauram Chidanandu, Kalek Manso, quindi probabilmente di consulti giorni Mampo Choso, dei caso conto che c'è di emotion del normal tipo ma actual life virtual life kare che sono delle chiena de nato che ductola joyere ne yachola joyere sosola joyere and chetsan controla yang dende ki cheyo as na chetan nato de kare yishinga ki manne chite melon vishi dan joyere che controlando nato che simple tonwa and chetsan de ductola ma chiena and nato de wangi Lengyana, pento tempo yang sigire. Sono mi sempre di duce c'è su delle chi top tiene, o di ci di mare sta sopra delle c'è un giro, no? Non c'è tanto c'è contro yang più tempo sigire. E delle docte come dicevano di non c'è delle c'è duca resa. Non c'è de Shenang de shipuchi dukare gaisana shenang de tis gyula yopa de tis toyana tis kale kakayore and chetsan de nima tsangma ke chatsanga de chogiro and de la mutune de la sema kanya chegiyore ma se de yang zupola no pa shipuchi kyagiyore zupola Jamin Ranga Suki DNA Kana de Nupache, Tanga Suki Gawa, Suki Gawa Driver, La Chuchepochi, and it's on Shenanda, Namcha de Mune Tis Dukare, and the Lekale Yongire Inare, Namiki, Javale, Yonare, the Soma, kind of one mepa job, it's one of the control the one mepa job and it's the something the no shipuchi and the nepo dentan garages na the tapa goya so res also kitchen the parents of kitchen de la tapa gona kandera
tapa gona tapena sosong matabanzi be tangzi soso ju tabanzi be tangzi lonju tabanzi be tangzi ki wanke ya soso da lu da lonju de so shi ji ke chabaji mu jegro wa da chaba da sachi mu jegro wa de tamje de ko madabare samaya and so le ya kaso le tangzi da de la chaba de chongru ro da de ro de ya ko 现在全部
가서 모델 자체 무시르지 모델 자체 무슨 뭐지 무시르지 모델 사바시요 근데 밑에 가지는 신앙이보다 모델 뜻이 담이는 제일 뭐는 맞서네 그래서 그 대단하게 실제 이게 잡아지요 거다 아 딱히 모델이 그 메타버에 가다 타만의 지도에 지레 선배들이 삼았다 야 디셔나도 좀 좋을거다 제가 이어했어 저는 나한테
Yes, there's definitely a connection there because, again, these kind of attitudes tend to come about also through the strong sense of self-grasping, right? Whether we are grasping to our very body, to our possessions and things like that. So whether those various contexts come down to that, right? And so it's kind of generating due to that a very strong attachment. And by way of that attachment to those things, then comes the fear and the worry regarding those things. So it's due to that the fear and the worry comes. So again, you can take for one example, if you buy a very kind of new and expensive car, and the person has just bought it, and they're constantly, due to their strong attachment, they're constantly worried and fearing about, like, oh, if it gets even the tiniest scratch, what will happen? And so it's due to this very strong attachment to that thing that they're constantly fearing and worrying about it again and again. So yes, and if one is able to meditate and contemplate about impermanence, then it will to understand that it's something that is in the nature of change and will eventually break and disintegrate, then that will definitely have an impact on that fear and worry that one feels regarding these things.
예지라. 콘로디 이니 무슨 마선에 배를 받세고 싶으시래스. 라서한테는 나서요. 받세고 여러 마세와요. 가시 처음에 콘로라에 지금 뭐 부시도. 그래서 제가 뒤로 말해 세고 요 말해. 아 세고 여반들에 여러다 말은 내주 세고 학원에 농부여 받 세고 학원에 이 콘로라에 들이도. 다들은 얘기 주변에 콘로랑가에요. 콘로 말안에 거디 고백에 계시 시에지는 그 강에 가서 농부 당셔거든. 과야 다시 시적으로 콘로랑가에 되네. 콘로랑가에도 콘로랑사에 제가 거 야리고 말다 들라니. 콘로랑이는데 이 간지 가리라 그 하고 말어. 어떻게 딱 콘로 칸갈로 리버세고 말해스. 다른 시기 신앙데 리버세고 말해라서. 신앙데 리버세고요. 가르스는 소소는 루치에 가체. 루치에 가디 미징 하고 소소다 신앙에로 다 하고 스탑해서. 콜 리버세고 여가를 매봐요. 리버세고 매봐도 가르스는 삼삼 초미가 삼당해로 삼초 매게 땅에 날 가리움도 날 지금 좀 날도 가리움도 어떤 데서는 신앙에 하시도 어디 리버세고 여mar고 남도 소샤죠라는 거.
maybe
Right. So I would like to add that then in terms of anger making one's view very clear, then it's not necessarily the case that happens. Sure. Right? When one gets angry, there are times when one is very clear, but then there's many cases when one is very unclear. Right? We say we kind of go. Some people get really kind of mad with anger, and then we're really not seeing things very clearly. So there are cases. So it's not always that when one gets angry, one sees things clearly. But even if one is, able to see clearly when one is angry, then, my question is like, but what is the purpose of the anger there? Like, you don't need anger to be able to see clearly. You're able to see clearly also when there's no anger. So the anger doesn't really add anything. In fact, it would probably be better if you were seeing things clearly but without the anger. Because when we really think about it, when we have anger, then how do we react? How do we conduct ourselves by speech? So it's not the case that it's necessarily the case that it's clear or unclear when we get angry, but even if it is, we're probably better off without it. And also with fear, it's the same that can generate clarity or it can be completely without clarity most of the time. Because Like, for example, we make some kind of mistake and then we spend all this time worrying about what others might think and what others will do to us and things. And it creates this a lot of over conceptualizations of, oh, what will happen, and maybe this, maybe that. And so that creates a very unclear type of mind with a lot of over conceptualizations.
Yeah.
너 항상 말한소로 강했는데 제 미치다 강했대. 이 미들로 콘도 랑치 미디 관다 람체. 근데 라인에 zaman 소소히 생각하고 삼도 가르고 다리에 콜에 콘도 대한테 편하죠. 그 삼도디 콜리 이 콘도디 교회도 통고 말해. 이 아니야 콘도랑 그래.
이런 군덕세나? 네.
파종 미티기 딱 건강에 난팅 맞으게 넘어서 건강에 이 미신다데 컨트롤하게 되게 대등에 컨트롤해야 돼 나가 탄다고 소스 이 삼비로와 이 삼비 잡아내 이 간사 되게 컨트롤 비교한 통고 말해 컨트롤을 연전 통고래 이 통도 잡아내 이 컨트롤 양을 그 그래서 컨트롤이 편도도 상세 그래서 그래서 이 잡아내 딱 얘기 다시 해야 돼 지바래 미디래야 지 소소 미디다 강에 쳐봐이나 콜로 말하면 되는 강에 대세쇼로 이세야게 답시 치는 되라 이제 콜로 랑고야면도
So then, also if we encounter someone, we have a problem with someone, then immediately we get very angry. We can get very angry at that person. We tell them off, and it might be the case that they because we tell them off, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm really, really sorry. I know I did this, and I'm really, really sorry." And the person who got angry thinks, I won, right?
It works.
Yeah, it works, right? So they see this pattern where they don't see the problems of anger, they don't see the harmful side of anger, they see how beneficial it is because they kind of won over that person, they see that it really worked in getting what they want, and due to that they will end up doing it again and again and again in this very unhealthy pattern. So it's much better to kind of instead develop this pattern of not needing anger, not wanting to anger, and if a problem, you need to solve some kind of a problem or eliminate some kind of a problem, learning how to do it without the use of anger.
With dialogue. With dialogue.
Dialogue.
Yeah. I would love to live in that world. But that isn't this world.
Dalai Lama always talking about this now while we are fighting, killing each other.
Yeah. Because we all want to be happy.
This time is past. Now we have to change this.
Yeah.
With dialogue.
Yeah.
And resolve the problem.
I agree.
People not doing this.
No. And everyone experiences anger, and it's natural, right? So I think it's, from the, contemplative science point of view, the goal is awareness. It's not get rid of emotion, because it's not possible, but it's to bring much more awareness. I think that's the goal. Yeah. Can I ask one last question?
Yes.
So I think now we live in a time where technology is making even more self-cherishing, even more anger, and even more fear. So I'm just curious, you see your students, how they interact with technology. What do we do? I've worked in technology for 4 years. I worked for Apple. I built meditation experiences, virtual reality meditation. I don't know what we can do, but technology is not going away. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, we try to explain them and how much we can, no? But whether they do or not, up to them.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But what would be, you think, a good way to be with technology?
If you use good way, then we can learn many things from online and all these things, no? If you use these things with something like watching a lot of movies, many movies, fighting,
Yeah.
then I think it's not good. It's learning something, not a good thing. So maybe some people can they can walk through their mind. Maybe it can be thing. It's not necessary to go and see around. No, they can see from the here and learn a lot of things. Why all these three people are like this, and they can develop more compassion and love these things.
Possible.
Could be, people they're working through their mind, maybe someone can do this. But mostly people know.
Yeah, I know.
Became developing a lot of things, these things, and people became more desire,
Yeah.
wanted more and more. And then they look to their pocket. A bank account, no money, enough money, Then they worry about my job is not paying well. I want to change.
Yeah.
Then also this kind of thinking, people wish, or everybody has a wish, and mostly people they have strongly they want to go on that way, and it won't work like that. They become unhappy or they get angry and they become nervous, something like that.
Yeah.
Then I'm telling to people, there are many people who have relationship. Everybody have different wish.
Yeah.
It cannot be go together. Then you have to accept that. Then you will be more happier. If you not accept only your wish, then there will this will be cause of your suffering.
Yeah.
I used to tell this also. I don't know. Maybe it helps now.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yes.